welcome to the Your Life Unfiltered podcast with your hosts, Kituko Thari and Deepan Jain. In this podcast, we dig deep into the life experiences of our guests to connect the dot between their early experiences and what they're doing today. Today, we have special guest Vick Krishna. Vick, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Vick Krishna. I'm an actor, content creator, and comedian, and I'm based in New York City.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Great.
And so if you guys are not already connected with Your Life Unfiltered, please be sure to give us a subscribe on YouTube. YouTube is our new platform, and we would absolutely love that. So with that said, I know, Deepam, you like to kick off the initial question. Do you want to share that?
Yeah. Let's quickly do that. So, Vick, so let's go back a few years. Talk to us a little bit more about your early childhood, early upbringing. How was the environment around you growing up? Were you always kind of more inclined towards theater or content creation in some way or the other? Or is that something you kind of picked up along the way? Any things that you can connect with what you're doing today, that'll be amazing.
Totally, yeah. I mean, so I was born and raised in Maryland, Columbia, Maryland, to be precise. And at a young age, I wanted to be a director. I think that was my first go-to career. I was like, I want to be a director. I think I saw Jurassic Park, and I was just like, this is what I want to do, man. I want to make others feel what I felt watching Jurassic Park. Like when that T-Rex comes at the end, it's like, whoa. So that was like my path. But growing up, I mean, you guys probably know, like, our parents don't support the arts per se. Career, it's a hobby, 100%. But like, as to pursue as a career, it's like, you're not gonna get that. I did theater in high school, and that was my first taste of like being on camera, or like just like the other side of the coin, to be a performer. And I fell in love with that too. And then I was like, okay, I think directing can wait. I mean, I was making short films, like little sketches and skits. So I guess that was my birth as a content creator, making little skits for school just to make people laugh. And I was doing morning announcements in high school, so I'd play these little skits I would make on the morning announcement, and they let me. And like that was my first taste of, like, I guess it'd be equivalent to today's like posting to TikTok, was like me posting to morning announcements growing up. And then I fell in love with the other side, with theater. So I was like, okay, directing can wait, because I think you can always mature into being a good director. But I think as an actor, you kind of want to get started as soon as you can and develop your talent and craft of that. But again, no support. So I made a deal with my parents saying, like, look, I really want to do this TV and film and acting stuff. And I know you guys aren't going to put me to film school or acting school, but I will go to India for 3 years, and I'll get that degree of your choice, which is computer science. So I got a comp sci degree. Went to India as a compromise because I did not want to have any student loans or anything. I don't want to like come back or like just worry about that stress, because I know it's not my passion, right? I knew that. So I went to India, and I also saved a year. So over there, getting a bachelor's degree in computer science was 3 years, because it's hyper focused. And so I saved a year, no loans, and I said, after I come back, I'm going to do what I really want to do. And then I just started my journey as a actor and content creator.
Okay, wow. So that seems like a very involved experience, right? Because you did a lot of compromise with your parents. You tried your hand at a couple different things and just kind of fell into doing what you really wanted to do. So what that said, what was your approach when it came to navigating the content creation once you finally got the go-ahead to continue to start doing it?
Yeah, so again, the content creation came only in the past few years, because I was making traditional short films when I came back from India in Maryland, and I reached to a point where, like, okay, I think I can make a short film. I got into festivals and stuff, I think, and I was doing acting work as well in the DC area, and I think there's a cap in how much you can do in that region. So it's like, okay, it's time to like move to the next level, which would be New York City. And again, I went to the traditional route. I just went to acting school, got representation and all that, and I just fell into like auditioning and all that. And
Mhm.
it's such a waiting game. I think you're always going to be waiting as if you're just going to be if you just identify yourself as an actor, you're just going to be waiting for the next audition, and you're sort of not in control. I mean, you can be proactive and just keep doing classes, but again, it's not until some other writer somewhere you don't even know exists writes a part that you're the fit for. So who knows if that will happen? So you're always in this waiting game, right? It's very passive. And then over the pandemic, I don't know why I say it like that. um, it was even more of a waiting game, right? The whole business stalled. Nobody was auditioning. All projects were like on hold. So you're just like sitting at home. And as a creative person, that's like the worst. Like just doing nothing. Like at least doing a class is something. But doing nothing, I was just going crazy. And that's when the content creation came back to like, it took me back to, okay, remember what you were doing the morning announcements, like making these little videos and stuff? Like that came back, 20 years later. And I started making skits over the pandemic, and that took off. And now I'm kind of like, okay, I guess we're back at it. Let's go.
So I'm going to
That's
take a
awesome.
wild guess and say that the platform that took off was TikTok, because I feel like that was early 2020, right?
That was it. If you're like a creator back then for the pandemic, yeah, that's when it took off for a lot of us.
Well, I also noticed
Amazing.
that you're now pretty active on Reels too. Would you say that that transferred over to Reels after it really took off on TikTok, or like you transferred some audience over from TikTok to Instagram, or how would you say like that came to be?
Yeah, I think when Reels was first introduced, I had a hard time. I think they themselves were tweaking the algorithm to kind of match like how good the TikTok algorithm was. The beauty of TikTok algorithm, I still believe it, is like I think it's the most fair. I think good content can always prevail in that environment. TikTok, at least 2020 TikTok. Uh,
Right.
I think Instagram, when they first launched Reels, it was still very like insular. It's like still depends on how big your reach was, and from there it could grow. But like I think now Reels is getting to the point where it's like it is like showing your stuff to the generic people who don't follow you, and that's how you really grow when you can show your content to people who don't follow you when you first post it. So I think they're both
Got it.
now equal in terms of the way they operate their algorithms.
Okay, cool. So
Got it. That makes sense.
if you could tell yourself from like say 15 years ago any advice, what advice would you tell them? Or tell yourself from the past? And the reason I ask that is because before you had this entire vision of going into content creation and acting, right? And then now you've done it for X number of years. So I'm sure you must have advice for yourself.
Yeah, I would say just start creating. I think the initial quarter of me coming back from India, saying, okay, now I'm going to do acting and TV and film. I went to like let's follow the traditional pathway they set, the industry had set. So I would say just start creating, man. Especially now, I think there's no excuse. You have a phone, put out your ideas, put out your thoughts, creativity, show it to us. Because I think there's less gatekeepers now because of how good these platforms showcase us. So just start creating. Like if you want to be a creator, start creating, and also pace yourself. I think there's time. There's time, and like you're chasing infinity. There's always going to be a next follower account number that you're trying to hit, next view count you're trying to hit. I don't think it's ever going to end. So pace yourself. So don't forget to like just have experiences, live life, take it slow. Don't get burnt out by content creation, which I did initially when it first blew up. I was like, oh no, I got to do this. I got to do 5 skits a day or else I'm going to lose it. So those thoughts, like are very negative. And then you start hating, creating, and then it's just like, why did I even do this? And it's not fun anymore. So just pace yourself, have fun, and just start creating.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like great advice. And I also feel like there's a story behind what you're saying, because it sounds like when you first started to gain traction, you almost, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but basically you went like all in on creating more and more content because you really want to scale that up as much as you can, right? But I'm sure that it probably translated into like, I'm guessing anxiety or, some other like self-doubt about certain types of content or anything like that. Like, did you experience any of that? And if so, do you have any advice on how to overcome that?
Yeah, I did. I think you start second. If like one video does worse than your previous video, then you're like, oh man, what's wrong with me? Why didn't it hit? Why didn't it take off? Because I thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny. and it's at the end of the day, it's code, right? You're submitting yourself to code that somebody wrote, and who knows why it didn't. And there could be X number of reasons on why it didn't take off. So don't always blame yourself and your creativity or your material. I think you can just say, look, it did what it did. I'm sure somebody enjoyed it, and you just keep moving on. So yeah, when that happened, you get like, so many negative thoughts like, okay, I'm not funny anymore. That was a fluke, I guess. And maybe I'm not cut out for this, but sure enough, your fifth video after that will take off. You're like, okay, it's back. So what changed? Nothing changed, man. It was just the algorithm. Literally, it's just like code. Who cares? Like, so don't always blame yourself.
Yeah, I can totally get that.
I just have a recent example on this. I actually posted a reel about a couple of weeks ago, and initially it took off. I mean, for me, like I have like 700 followers, so it just did like 15K views, which is pretty good. But then 2 days ago, it picked up again. Now it's reached 35K out of nowhere. Yeah. So you never know what's happening behind the scenes, right? So
yeah, you never know.
There you go. So you cannot, you can only do so much and then leave the rest to the code and for that to decide where it goes.
Totally, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Always enjoy the process over the outcome. So enjoy making the video. And if you enjoyed yourself while making it, then mission accomplished.
100%. 100%. I actually want to go back to something you said before. So basically you went to India and came back. So you're auditioning and you're also, trying to navigate the acting career. So through all of this process, tell us about your first big break, right? Since then, obviously, we know that you've starred in so many TV shows and movies, but tell us about the first one. Which one was it? How did you get it? And what is the feeling once we knew you made it?
Yeah, I think the first booking TV-wise was The Blacklist on NBC, and it was just like a couple lines, man. But even then, like that's still impressive because if you know like the number of people they audition, the number of people they shortlist, the number of people they get a call back, and then you need like 10 people to say yes. So behind the scenes, there's like 10 producers who have to say yes, 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 yes to this 2 lines, which honestly is not. It's more than merit. It's like you have the right look. This is how I pictured him when I wrote it. Like there's so many factors that go into getting that yes. But once you get it, you're like, wow, this is what you dreamed of, right? Network television. It's like big names, and it's going to be on TV, like the TV, right? So it's a great feeling when you get that email saying you booked it, and I think at that time it was like I want to say like 5 years into New York City, so it's like post training, post like getting your representation, post going out like hundreds of auditions prior to that audition. So it's finally like all that blood, sweat, and tears was worth it. And again, I have friends who haven't reached that point yet. I have friends who've gotten like 5 of those. So it's just being grateful. It's just very a grateful experience to be booked on a show like that.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. It's especially a well-known show, right? Because Blacklist was a pretty well-known show. I remember in the early days of when that first show came out, it was pretty good show. So I'm sure when it comes to your content creation, you've taken some inspiration from other creators. Do you want to share about like who those creators are and like what inspired you about their content?
Yeah, I think I like. There's a few creators. Like even I want to say shout out to old school like Jess Rain. Remember this old school videos? Canadian guy. I think that he was very influential in like representing like South Asian culture and making like South Asian skits. So I definitely view him as an inspiration before the whole TikTok generation blew up. So that was always in my head. And like OGs like Lily Singh, all that. So that South Asian stuff always like yeah, I want to like keep like showcasing our culture, our people stuff, like stuff that we find funny in our community. In terms of format, I think people like Devin Palmer and like PDUSA, they do a lot of weird stuff, quirky stuff, but it's also like talking to yourself. I think I really love that format. I think it's something inherently funny of just you talking to you and 2 different characters really works on TikTok and these like skits. So watching those are really have been influential as well, and like not to be afraid of the weird. I think they're very lean to the weirdness and like awkward comedy, and I think some of my stuff I like to like dive into
Got
those
it.
as well.
So do you have a set process when you thinking about creating your next video? Or is it, do you write your script down and then you shoot it? Or is it more in your head and then you just go with the flow? Like, what's your process?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Content
and I forgot to
creation.
mention, Daily Show also big influence. I love topical humor.
Okay.
That's a big part of my process, being topical humor. I follow the news a lot, so I think I'm always looking at what's going on in the world and what's the satirical approach, the satire. I do a lot of satire and like explainers of like what's happening in the real world. So I look at it like something what's going on in the world. I'm like, okay, so how can I, and I want to be helpful, whatever's going on. I want to either help people understand what's going on better, or like make light of a situation to help like show what's really going on and why this is crazy. And like, because the world is funny if you look. Actually, you don't even have to look hard. The world is a really funny place if you look at it. Like, it's really paradoxical in so many ways. So yeah, I just look at what's topical, and I like just feed off of that and try to make something funny out of that.
Got it.
So it's
makes
interesting
sense.
because a lot of your content is comedy oriented, right? When it comes to content creation, but I know that you also do some stand-up comedy. So like, how different is those two different mediums when it comes to comedy? Versus, one could be more orchestrated or planned in advance, and the other one is, I guess it is to a degree orchestrated, but it can be done a little bit spontaneously too, because you had to read your audience and kind of sometimes fine tune those jokes in the moment in order to like get a laugh, right? Because different audiences are going to be very different in terms of what they're going to enjoy, what they're not going to enjoy. So like, in your experience, like, what has been that difference between content creation that's comedy oriented versus stand-up comedy?
Right. So I'll say with stand-up, there is the benefit that you can kind of workshop your material prior to the show with open mics. So you go to an open mic and you kind of like test out your material, and you can test it out however many times in so many different clubs and all that. So you get a read, like if one room laughs, okay, but if all 10 rooms didn't laugh, okay, that's definitely not funny, right? If, like it's scattered laugh, okay, for the right audience, if it works. So you can test out your material. You can get a good read on like where your material stands. With content creation, it's kind of a shot in the dark. You believe it's funny. Maybe you can show it to a couple of friends. They think it's funny. You put it up and like, oh, nobody found it funny. What was the point of that? So it's a lot of like, it's more of a risk, I would say, content creation. Like you're making this stuff, you're making this one video, and you really haven't really tested it. The test is really just publishing it to the world immediately. And it's just out there, and then the people will tell you. But I think with comedy, you can test out it prior to really showing it in like an open mic situation. And I think the language changes between the two mediums. I think with like a skit, you have the benefit of multiple characters and camera comedy. I think the way you cut it, the way you shoot it, there's like a visual comedy happening as well. Not that, I mean, people see you when you're doing stand-up, but I think it's more so when it's like in a cinematic way. And with stand-up, it's more of I feel like you're having a conversation with your audience, which is missing in the content creation.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that piece, right? Because you can't see the reaction of your audience when it's content creation, but you can if it's live, right? So the stand-up comedy, you can kind of look at people's faces and get a read of the room, which I guess to a degree, it's very different from content creation where it's just, basically people on a screen where you can't actually see the reaction.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the question that I have, Vic, is for you is that which one do you enjoy more, the stand-up comedy or the content creation?
I gotta say, I'm new to stand-up. I've only done I only started this year. It was literally like New Year's resolution, start on January 1st. I did the first mic, and now we're like 11 months in. I'm already like hosting and doing gigs, so it's growing really fast. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Yeah, thank you. And it's great. I love it. But it is a hustle. Stand-up is a very hustling business because you got to like physically go out there to the clubs, do the spots, travel, It's very tasking in that sense. And content creation, I think you get the comfort of your home, and you kind of set your own schedule and all that. So there's some ease factor, that the comfort level of just like being at home and just doing it there, which is a big plus. Which I enjoy more.
Got it.
I gotta say, at the moment, stand up. At the moment, because I do like the live. It's like
Right.
it's like for an actor, the actor in me is like me doing theater. Like there's something great about that live feel, the live laughter. It's better
Right.
than the comment section.
Yeah.
It's more rewarding in the moment, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just
Instant gratification. The comment section,
yes.
yeah. Whereas like, yeah, I feel the laughter. And that feels great. Whereas me like scrolling through comment and they're like, oh man, he hated it, and then you like you can't sleep that night because he hated it. And you're like,
So, out of curiosity, have you thought of something that's a little bit more hybrid? And what I mean by that is something like doing something like YouTube Live and just doing stand up through YouTube Live or Instagram Live, or maybe, I mean, this is really out there, but like I've heard of like some celebrities, like, you know, singers and stuff doing metaverse concerts. So like something like that's very different. Like, have you thought about that or?
no, I haven't. But these are great ideas, man. I like all these ideas. I think I will eventually venture. Yeah, because I do want to like find like I want to push it. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, there's a way to merge these two things. I think because at the end of the day, you're like you're entertaining an audience, and you're like, so that's there. So there should be a way to
And
merge.
you reach
these
a lot
Yeah.
more people.
Maybe-
That's the thing, right? It's a little bit hybrid, but
Yeah.
if you're able to do live,
Right.
you can see people's reactions through, you know, live commentary and emojis and stuff like that are putting in, and then at the same time, you're able to do it live, so it's very spontaneous, on the spot type of stuff. So same as like an open mic,
Yeah,
instead of
totally.
live. So it's a little bit of a hybrid.
It's a
in
great
my
idea.
eyes.
You want to produce the next show?
I got you. I got you. I'm
Maybe
I'm a creative guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a resolution for 2023, New Year's.
Yeah, that's it. Hybrid show, TikTok.
Hybrid show.
Stand up.
Awesome. That's a great idea.
And so I know you mentioned that you've started to get a lot of gigs for stand-up. So I do realize that there was a recent event for Diwali, right? Diwali Drop, hosted by...
Yeah, the Diwali drop.
Yeah, hosted by, I think, I think was the accompanied
Yeah.
by Bhakti Doshi, I believe. Can you tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about that experience? You know, how was that? Did you enjoy it? Like, how did you come to get that gig, etc.?
Yeah, that was great, man. It's by it was their first time doing a stand-up show. They did something called Masala Mixtape. And they brought like a lot of like New York City artists, like singers and rappers, and they did like a showcase of that. So this year they wanted to do comedy, and it was an amazing lineup, man. Like that's why I'm so humbled to like be part of that show, because like again, like I only started doing under a year. And to be like in the same ranks as like those people on this roster was amazing. Like Zarna, have you seen Zarna stuff?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty good.
Zarna was on it. Usama Siddiqui, Kiran Diol, Saab Singh, Sureni, Vishal from Indian Matchmaking. He's really cool.
Oh yeah, we actually did a...
you guys,
We've interviewed him, yeah.
yeah, right. He was there, and special guest Nimesh Patel. He's blowing up on TikTok. So these are like, I look at them like they were like, yo, you guys are my inspiration to be on the same line hosting for you guys and doing like the opening set. This was like so cool. So it's a very awesome experience. And we got to celebrate Diwali. So, and it's like, it's grown. Diwali has grown in US like diaspora.
It
right?
has. It has.
Presence
It's
amazing, man.
huge
So
now.
It's blown up.
Actually, I don't know if you saw the news, but like, didn't New York City officially recognize Diwali as a holiday now? It's like very recent.
yeah. So next year, totally. Yeah. So next year people will actually
It's
get
gonna
involved.
be.
Which is
Yeah.
it's cool. I was like, I never like growing up. I was like, yo, this was the dream, man. So it's cool, like it's finally happened. And so it was a great event, man, and it was a celebration. New York City. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah, I actually personally attended the Masala mixtape thing, and it was a lot of fun. They had a mix of artists, right? So it was pretty cool. There were some headliners, and then there were some up and coming artists. So it was a nice blend of everything. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
nice, man. Yeah, it is a great team. Highly recommend Andor.
Awesome. All right. So I guess with the moving on, the question that we have is, so you've been doing stand-up comedy as well as, acting gigs and so on. But what is next for you in terms of content creation, just, overall, generally?
Yeah, I mean, I guess next would be out of short form content and being long form content, maybe producing some of that. Along with like this, the traditional acting is still alive. Like I have like I think like 5 auditions I need to like complete this week for by Friday. So working on that. So that's still like there. So hopefully like booking a show, like a series regular, like that's the dream also. But yeah, I think graduating to like long form content, I think that's the next step. I mean, the minute form, I'll keep making them, but I think I want to do some long form, like YouTube stuff.
Oh, okay. That's
And
cool.
That's cool.
Have
Yeah.
you considered?
and then
cool.
maybe write a show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's really cool. Actually, right? It's like a comedy show.
That is going to be huge.
Like what kind of show?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I really like I saw Mo and Rami. Like, I really love that. Like those type of shows. Like something along those veins. But yeah, probably like a comedy show, like a 30-minute comedy show.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Got
Have
it.
you thought about collaborating with other artists? And when I say other artists, I mean stand-up comics, content creators, that type of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's happening right now. Like I've teamed up with a few people and been collaborating on a few skits, and I think I'm like collaborating with like maybe like 4 other people at the moment. So yeah, I'm like branching out, and it's just it's fun, man. It's fun stuff. The stuff we come up together versus stuff we come with by ourselves. It's different. It's cool. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think one interesting way to play that, and you may already be doing this, I have no idea, right? But selecting people based off of the geography that they live in terms of who to collab with, because you get a much more extended audience, because if they have a much wider audience in a specific region that maybe your audience is not in, you can kind of get a more diversified audience overall. And so what I mean by that would be, I guess, a good example is like Deepam and I, right? Like I'm on the East Coast, he's on the West Coast. So it's like our audiences are completely different.
It's smart, man. It's a very smart ideas.
Yeah. Right. And then the other piece of it is maybe working with people in like Canada or even India is like, the more geographically like dispersed the people you collab with are, the wider audience you're going to reach, which is amazing.
No, I like that. It's like when Nicki Minaj like did a feature for Justin Bieber, right? Like so the both fan circles.
Yeah, 100%. Or yeah, collaborating with artists in UK. I know there's a lot of artists, obviously from Indian origin, but also like the regional there. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's very smart. Definitely. I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that's
Awesome.
All right. So long form content, that's really cool. Okay. Is that something you're already actively working on or just thoughts at this point?
Just thoughts, man. I don't even know what to do, but if you have an idea, you have good ideas, so let me know.
I told you I'm the idea guy. I mean, I have some ideas. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, actually. Well, I guess you may already be on this, but how big are you on YouTube Shorts currently?
YouTube's like it's almost at 50K subscribers, so
but specifically Shorts, are you focused on Shorts or more YouTube videos in general?
specifically Shorts.
Okay,
Specifically
nice.
Shorts. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the reason I say that, and we're actually just going to be starting to get into there with our video podcast with Shorts, but Shorts is going to be huge in 2023. I don't know. Have you heard the news about like the creator fund that like they're doing a 50% split?
Oh yeah, right. YouTube does pay well. Like the one time I was like in their bonus program, like it was really, really nice.
Yeah. So every creator that I've like watched podcasts about and like I've seen like their videos and what they're saying, everyone's saying is that YouTube's going to be huge in 2023, primarily because YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world, right? The number one is Google, number two is YouTube. So there's so much traffic there already. And it's like the perfect platform to introduce video in short form content because it's already the most viewed platform for video. Having a shorts version of that is just going to cannibalize so much from a lot of the other platforms like Instagram's Reels and, TikTok and so many other platforms. So I think YouTube Shorts is definitely where to be. And then
basically with the creator funds, they're also incentivizing the creators as well, right? To create more quality content.
Right.
So Sorry,
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
And then I would say the other piece of it is you can also redirect people that are consuming the short form content to your main YouTube channel, so your long form content. So since you want to do long form content, it's ideal because you already have a presence on shorts. All you got to do is for most of the shorts you put up, put a caption saying you can follow my channel, and then give the name of the channel or something like that. It's like a feedback loop almost. It's like people that engage with your content, they're gonna know exactly where to go. They're gonna go to your main channel where you're gonna have so much more content to consume.
Right. Smart, man. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll definitely double down on that. Not Twitter.
Awesome.
I won't put my...
You don't want to pay for that check mark, right? You don't want to pay for the verify blue check.
I'll lose money on Twitter, yeah.
Oh God. But is there I'm not familiar at all. Is there a way to make money off of Twitter? Just they don't pay any in any form or fashion, right?
No, I don't think so. I never heard of a Twit fund.
You kind of Twit fund. That's a funny name actually. Twit fund. I think the main way you make money on Twitter is not on Twitter. It's getting people off of Twitter to something else, like getting them onto YouTube, getting them to a website, getting them to a blog post that you made, something like that.
Right. That's what I was wondering. I've never heard of it, but I was just curious, maybe because I've never used Twitter like ever. So
now you never need.
I have no idea.
The party's over.
Speaking of which, though, like they're talking about Twitter becoming a all-in-one type of app, like WeChat in China and some other countries. So I wonder, maybe we're hitting on Twitter now, but who knows? Maybe in 5 years it's a completely different Twitter.
It's gonna be a huge deal. Yeah. The super app, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Super
the
app,
one,
right?
The other one. I mean, I have no idea if that's gonna happen, but that's what they're saying.
And you know what? You mentioned a great point there, because they're also talking about reviving Vine, which is the original TikTok of USA, right? It never took off, right? But it might with the new leadership
it
there.
did. Vine took off huge in 2016. Yeah,
was
it was huge.
Oh, why did they shut it down?
Because it got acquired by
Twitter. Twitter bought it. Though.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's the problem. Twitter
bought it and they shelved it.
Oh,
they shut it down. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
I don't know why they did that, because Vine was taking. That's where a lot of the creators of today started. Like Logan Paul, for example, and Jake Paul. They started on Vine. They're all Vine stars. Even King Batch, right? King Batch was on Vine first. He killed it on Vine, and then he cascaded onto other platforms. But they all started with Vine.
Yeah, no, I heard about that. Some investors gave Jack Dorsey a hard time. This is like 2-3 years ago, right? Where he had this huge opportunity with Vine in his hand, and he never really encashed it like TikTok did. So they really gave him a hard time. And this is when he was deciding to move to Africa for like 6 months back in 2019. And he didn't end up going because of all of this. Show.
I feel like Vine was super, super short for him because it was 6-second content. It's like 6
seconds. Yeah, that's
how do you
6 seconds.
How do you get in 6 seconds?
I remember
Awesome.
Dub Smash. Like Dub Smash was the thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dub Smash was huge as well. Like it was a long time ago again.
Yeah.
2015, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy how these platforms come and go. I do miss Vine. Vine had some hilarious content.
Yeah, Vine was good.
Awesome. Keith, I guess, do you want to switch gears? We can probably move on to the next section, rapid fire. All right, Vic. So the next section, as the name suggests, is rapid fire. And so first thing that comes to mind, let me know when you're ready, and we'll jump right in.
All right.
Nothing, crazy or anything. Just simple questions. So first one, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Awesome. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
All right. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
You live in the right city for that answer. Hey, New York
saying the
City
same
is
thing.
the best city for if you're a night owl.
Yeah.
100%. What's your favorite comfort food?
Peanut butter.
Oh, really? Okay. By itself, or do you like?
Yeah, just bites. I could just eat a jar, man. Straight out the jar.
Oh, really? So like,
that's
like
new.
Nutella or like a specific type of jelly and peanut butter or?
Oh no, peanut butter. Nutella is hazelnut and like chocolate, but I do like just like Skippy.
Oh, okay, wow, okay,
Oh,
got it. Traditional
okay.
peanut butter, got it. Okay, wow.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
skip you.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, crunchy because they're very smooth, and it's only 180 calories per 2 tables. No, I'm joking. I'm not a sponsor.
All right. What's your favorite virtue in others?
Virtue, uh,
Yes.
I guess creativity. Is that a virtue? I
Oh,
don't know, man. What is a virtue? I feel so stupid.
I mean, we'll consider
ah,
it.
no,
Yeah,
it's a
we'll
virtue.
consider
It could be a virtue. We'll consider it.
I don't know. Honesty.
That's
If
a
they're honestly creative, that's
honesty.
what we'll go with. If they're honestly creative.
Let's go with that. Yeah, that's a good one. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Laziness.
Okay. All right. So the next one is live show or recorded TV, and this is when you are performing.
When I'm performing,
Yes. What do you prefer? Like the recorded acting on the, which is feature TV, or just, live stand-up
oh,
comedy, for example,
gotcha.
or theater.
Oh, live.
Okay, interesting.
I'm
Okay.
guessing you love that adrenaline
What's
rush,
your-
right? You love that adrenaline rush.
Yeah. I'm hooked on. I'm hooked on it now. I'm hooked on. I can't. I got.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's your secret superpower?
Secret superpower is I don't need to sleep.
Oh, really?
Wait, really?
No, in the sense like I'll keep going like until the whatever needs to get done needs to get done. Like I won't
Oh,
Okay.
quit.
Okay.
So, like, what does that
Man,
mean?
I
Like,
don't
keep
know, I guess-
going. It's like how many days are we talking? Like 2 days in a row with no sleep? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, like sometimes when I was like editing projects, like short films and stuff, it was like a deadline. Like I'll burn to midnight oil. Like I think like 48 hours.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I'll
Yeah,
stay
that's
up.
pretty solid.
Wow.
Right there. You weren't
That's
like you weren't
huge.
like mainlining Red Bull or like coffee or something, were you? It's like you're able to function without without all that.
No, I need the substance. No, I need yeah. Yeah, I can't go natural.
Yeah, I was
on
gonna
that.
say it's like it's super impressive. You can do if you can do natural without any substance. That's super impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. What's a superpower you wish you had?
Superpower. I wish I had. Reading minds.
Oh.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can know in advance that they're gonna find something funny. It's like right when you're saying it, you know they're gonna laugh or not. Oh, I'm connecting the dots.
Yeah, are they fake laughing or not? Yeah, man.
Now I understand why you like live audiences because like, you can read the mind of the moment.
Okay. All right. Wait. Why?
Right. If you were not an actor or a content creator or a photographer or a editor, what would you be instead?
I'd probably be a coder
Ooh,
Yeah, wow.
really?
because I have a comp sci degree. So
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, I forgot you said that earlier. Comp side of it.
Got it.
Okay.
yeah. But I gotta say, this is a big point, a big thing I always like try to preach. I feel like there's creativity in everything, man. I feel like I don't like the divide of like a creative and like I guess a pragmatic, like practical person. I feel like there's creativity in everything. I feel like the phone I use, man. Yeah, it was built by engineers and comp sci people and like you get it. Like they're creative too, equally.
Yeah.
I feel like just because I use
Right.
it a different way should not negate like their creativity. So I think everybody can be creative in every field.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I actually
Okay.
have a question now because you mentioned coding and you mentioned content creation, obviously, right? So NFTs are essentially lines of code, right? It's smart contracts, but essentially code. And now on Instagram, you have the ability to create and mint NFTs, right? Because it's a new thing that they did with the digital wallets on Instagram. This may be
Right.
very, very early because it's a relatively new feature, but have you thought about looking at your most popular reels and basically minting them as NFTs?
Yeah, no, I haven't thought about it, but I've thought about creating NFTs based on the most popular video. But I'm still like new to like understanding it. I've read it, but it is cool. I definitely would consider it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely early. That is 100% true. Like we were talking about it, I think before, Keith, if you remember, but it's like a whole wild west out there. There's a lot of like, scammers out there, but there's a lot of like genuine companies as well. So at some point, I think definitely it's going to take off really, really quickly.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because in a sense, it's like you're a verified owner of a piece of content that was viral, right? So it's almost like a collectible. It's like you can prove to someone else that I own this viral reel. So it's like the same thing as, like, for example, traditional paintings. Like if you have the Mona Lisa, yeah, there could be plenty of copies made, but only one person, or in this case, a museum, owns the original. And it's verified ownership through a certificate, right? In this case, it's verified ownership through code. So I was just curious. It's like,
oh, that's really cool.
You can like merge a lot of realms together. So like I'm always a proponent of merging different things together, and just it doesn't mean everything's gonna be a success, but just it gets you in the mindset of thinking about things differently.
Right. No, that's really cool, man. I was reading a lot about blockchain technology, and it's really fascinating. So definitely into like crypto, and it's really cool. It's a cool world that's coming up soon.
Awesome.
Actually, it's already started. So
right. I guess last question in this series, what's been your biggest accomplishment in the last 1 or 2 years?
I think it's finding myself, in a sense, like my creative self. I think like owning my identity. I think that's something. It was like a journey to find, like, who am I in this world of creating, and as an actor, like I think I find my voice. In a way to say it.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing. So I found my confidence, and with that comes the confidence. I think I don't like second guess, like, do I belong anymore? I think it's like, okay, I do.
Awesome. That's amazing. And I'm sure like the experiences of the pandemic probably helped with that, right? It's like you get a period of, I guess, isolation that allows you time to reflect, rejuvenate, and just kind of know yourself better.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. So I think that's my biggest takeaway. Like more than anything.
So I guess in a few words, like what would you use to describe yourself now? Like now that you found your voice and know yourself a little bit better, if there's like any additives or something that come to mind, like how would you best describe yourself?
I would say proud. I would say proud of my South Asian heritage. Proud of my my commitment to the craft. In various ways, the sacrifice, that's a big word, but like I feel like I gave up college life in America, and I said I'll go to India and learn about. That was a cool experience. I don't regret that at all, and just like I still have that passion and drive, man. So I feel like I'm committed 100%, mind, body, soul, to be a creative, and I want to like enrich people's lives through creativity. Either make them laugh or make them think about something or learn something new. I want something positive to happen. You watch my stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. I saw some of your recent content, actually. It was pretty funny. Like, I remember there was some content relating to the new Prime Minister, right? The new Prime Minister of the UK. That was actually pretty entertaining.
The Starbucks CEO. I mean, there's a lot of like Indian people out there these days, so yeah. That's awesome, dude. It's hilarious.
A lot of first Indians coming up, yeah. So
yeah,
started a new series. The first Indians' first day of whatever is what.
Right.
That's awesome.
Lots of good content creation opportunities as well. Those people rising up the ranks.
Right. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Totally. Man.
All right, Keith, I don't know if you have any other questions. If not, maybe we can start to close the conversation.
No, I'm good for the moment. Well, I guess before we close with the closing questions, Vic, did you have any questions for us?
How did you guys like meet? What's your guys' story?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, you guys had an interesting story with going to school for your undergrad in India. Your entire journey of convincing your parents to pursue acting, pursuing content creation. So interesting story from that dynamic. Definitely relate to that. Because I mean, my parents weren't so much on like, do a specific type of career path in terms of like going to medicine or become a scientist or engineer or anything like that. But they did have the expectation do something that will actually make you consistent, stable money, just like a lot of South Asian parents. So definitely pursued that career path. So that's why I'm in management consulting, right? But on the outside of that, what's been good is just Deepam and myself, we've been basically executing on a creative side by doing things as side hustles. So that's been my outlet to be able to tap into my creative side while also focusing on professional career development.
Nice. Cool.
Right. And I would just say, I think as I was kind of listening to your story, I just observed that since the beginning, since you moved back to US, started pursuing the acting career, I think one thing that everybody just, especially, with the actors, they don't realize that how much struggle they have to go through on a day-to-day basis because of the uncertainty involved in the profession. And now there are all these channels where you can, do the content creation and so on and so forth. But I think still on a day-to-day, it takes a real, thick skin really to kind of go through that and just really, keep believing, keep, thinking about that next and just, and still be your best, right? Because when you have to audition, you just have to be your best self out there so that, you can just get that acting job. So really kudos to you for being able to do that and being able to like just keep at it and not giving up. I'm sure there must have been a lot of, ups and downs during the journey. So that's just my observation and really inspiring to see that.
When did you guys become friends? Like, did you guys meet online or you guys knew before?
I'll let
it's a funny story.
Do you want me to say it or Deepan, do you want to say the story?
I'll go. So Ketul actually, he's from New Jersey, but he moved to the West Coast for a few months last year. I think maybe Ketul, in your own words, I'll just say that he never lived away from home, from New Jersey. So he wanted to be somewhere else, right? To find that perspective, just meet new people, make new friends. And in that process, he and I met earlier this year, and we just randomly started chatting, hey, we have so many amazing people around us. Why don't we, start bringing them as guests and start a podcast? And, here we are, 20 weeks later.
Right. That's great. That's also just consistency and like just keeping at it, man, like podcasts.
Yeah.
You just got to keep it going.
Keep at it.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
I feel like any content creation, it's all about consistency, right? You got to consistently put out content. It doesn't have to necessarily be every day, depending on the type of content. Like long form content, it's very difficult to do every day, right? But you have to still consistently put out content. And actually, from some of the guests that we interviewed in the past, like one person comes to mind. I don't know if you know Sachin Kumar. He goes by like Scotchy.
Scotchy?
Oh yeah. He's in LA.
Yeah. So we actually did a episode with him a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that he actually mentioned really stuck with me, and that is that a lot of people underestimate how much work content creation actually is. Right? Because
it's a lot.
Go ahead.
No, it's a lot of work. I'm behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes,
right? Because a lot of it is also the creative side, right? It's just to get an idea on what types of skits to do. Sometimes you consume hours and hours of content just to understand what works and what doesn't work. Then there's the analytics piece. Every content that you put out there, since you're focused on growth, you have to study what works, what doesn't work, what's going to be your hook, what's your end outcome, like what do you want people to do? Do you want them to go from like TikTok into Instagram or YouTube? How do you go about doing that? Even the thumbnail for a lot of content that's like starts with a still and then goes into it. It's the thumbnail you choose makes a big difference between having like, let's say, 5,000 views versus 500,000 views. It can make a huge difference.
Right.
So like all those little nuances, I think a lot of people underestimate because for every viral piece of content, some of it may be luck where it just happens out of the blue, but a lot of it, especially for creators that consistently have viral content, it's skill. It's not luck. It's like they know exactly what they're doing. Everything is well thought out and then well executed. So, speaking with some content creators over the last couple of weeks, what I've quickly realized is that people don't realize how many years of hard work went into becoming that overnight success. Because like some people see they kicked off in a year, but they may have spent 10 years of practicing and refining their approach, putting out content, getting better over 10 years of progress of developing that skill set before they kick off. So even if from the outside it seems like an overnight success, majority of the time it's not an overnight success. It's through skilled like intentional work and honing that craft.
100%.
Yeah, and in we have a live example here in the form of Vic, right? You've been in content creation since you were a child, right? So you've been doing it for so long, and learning so long to be called an overnight success.
Morning announcement in 11th grade. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That you got to count those years because that was experience.
100%. Okay. With that, I guess we can, start to wrap up. But before we do, I just have a question. So do you have any references for our listeners? And a reference could be like a piece of, not reference. I'll cut this part out. Do you have any recommendations for our listeners? A recommendation could be like a piece of, TV series or movie, podcast, any form of media content that you really took inspiration from, or something that really stuck with you.
I really like Nathan Fielder stuff. I don't know if you've seen The Rehearsal or Nathan For You. I think
Nathan For You, I've seen that one. Yeah,
I haven't heard the other one.
I love that guy. Yeah, it's very sharp.
Yeah, or watch The Rehearsal, 100%.
Rehearsal, okay.
That's good. And I would also
Got
say,
it.
I think you should leave. It's a skit show on Netflix. And I say this because this guy was a sketch member on SNL.
Okay.
He didn't last too long in SNL. He eventually had to he left SNL, and then he made his own show, and it's really offbeat, quirky comedy. But
I see.
You can see why he had to leave that environment of mainstream comedy to do his own thing, because it's really out there, but it works. But I don't think he got the opportunity there to do those skits. So it's like, find, do what you need to do to get your ideas. Like, that's what I'm saying. Don't wait for anybody. Don't wait for SNL to produce your skits. Like, just make your own show. And it's really funny stuff. So I recommend those two shows.
Amazing. Love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's a wrap now. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Vic. This was absolutely great. And what I did want to do for the final seconds of our recording here was to allow you a chance to plug any platforms or social media handles that you like.
Yeah, sure. Thank you both for having me. And if you want to follow me, I'm at Hot Vick Krishna on TikTok and Instagram.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Phil.